Hmm. For me, For me, I don't come from a product background, but I've been learning, being around all the experts on our team for years. And I think the critical defining element of a product is something where users are interacting, they're inputting, and the product is returning real value with some sort of input. And what I like that our team does is focusing on only a couple of critical jobs for the product to do, simplifying, almost saving our clients and our partners from themselves, getting them out of their own echo chamber to just focus on a couple of critical jobs for this product to do. So that way we can test, we can take it to market and test that the product is delivering real value and that the users are interpreting that value correctly. What do you think, Hector?
Well, I think that's pretty accurate, but also I would like to focus on the service overall, right? We help people building, like services. So the thing is that we like using the term digital product because it's a little bit more abstract, right? So we usually start with thinking about ideas, thinking about business goals, thinking about market opportunities, right? And not super focused on the final context, the final deliverable, right? So it's about building a product, and then we can focus on building a mobile app or building a web platform or wherever it makes sense for the business itself, right? So I think like thinking about products and not specific deliverables is great for the team and for us overall to focus on the user needs, the business needs, and helping founders succeed in the best way.
And so, not just crafting the interface, but we're sort of helping these early founders think about their business, how to grow a business around this product, and not just what it needs to do now, but what it can do down the road.
Exactly, and I think that our compounded learning through the years, helping a lot of people, helping a lot of companies, that help us a lot, to understand like different ways to build a platform, a product, an app, and to find market fit with the minimum viable product, with the right jobs to be done, with the key elements that make the users to find that product to be useful or to be solving their problem, right? And not just building for the sake of it, right? We usually say that, right? Like the what we deliver is more than code or pixels, right? It's about how we're shaping up the products that we build collaboratively with our clients, with the partners, in order to find the right thing to do, and doing it right. And that those are the main things that we have to always focus on.
And you mentioned a key term that we hear a lot, and we coach on it sometimes, don't we? This idea of a minimally viable product. And I think that we're starting to coach people to think a little bit broader, even though we focus on a simple product without sacrificing beauty. I think that the user expectations, just generally in almost any category, now exceed what is minimally viable. So we coach people on thinking about the minimum perfect experience. So doing a couple of key things well, but beautifully. Expand a little bit more on that, how we think about that idea of a minimum perfect experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, the MVP is a term that has been widely used, right, in the last years in order to help founders, get rid of the typical feeling of trying to build a lot, right, and trying to feel that, or trying to think that providing values to providing a lot of things to the user, and that's not right, or not always right. It's better to focus on the right things that you're trying to solve, right, and solving it right. The thing is that in the past, probably you could focus on just building some things, trying to test with users and solve certain problems in whatever way that you can. The thing is that right now the market is always more competitive. Every day is more competitive, and also user has like a less span of time of focusing in every solution, right? So the design part of each product can be the difference between a success story or not, right? And also one thing that we have achieved at Set One is to create that design culture between the product designers, the product managers, and also the engineers, right? Where we find that it's not overkill to create a beautiful interface, to create an engaging product from day one, even not needing to build too much for it, right?
And you touched on very lightly a little bit about how we layer skill sets inside of each of our product squads that are working together all the time to develop expertise in certain types of experiences. And one thing I really like is our product managers are not just thinking about taking orders or just acting on the ideas of the partners that we're working with. As you know, we're often working with first or second time founders or really early stage teams who have hypotheses to be tested. But what we want to do is ensure that we're not just delivering a product for our clients' wishes, but thinking broader into how we're going to deliver a product that fits the market for the right users. Do you think?
Exactly. Yeah, and well, that's part of any winning strategy, right? Like every company, like must define what they want to solve in the market, and that was our goal as well, right? So we know that they're like agencies with blue sky thinking for like branding, positioning, all that type of work, but also they're like like dev shops, like with higher hands that you can outsourced for scaling up your internal team, and those are great value propositions, right? But we didn't want to be there. We wanted to be in the early stage, supporting partners to trying to think about the whole thing, right? And to trying to think about the market fit, but also the right team, the right timing, and the right scope, right? And I think personally, and we think as a team, that's critical, right? To find the best way to be a successful company, especially in the digital environment, right? Because nowadays everyone has access to a lot of tools, a myriad of resources, and different technologies or ways to build platforms. So this experience, trying to understand what's the right thing to do at every single moment, and how to craft a plan about the scope, the technology, and how to create something that scales up in the future. That's the thing that sometimes is the right difference between succeeding or not, right? And that's our main value proposition, and how we do it is through this type of blend skills that we have in the team between product strategy, product design, and product engineering.
And you're touching on one of the expressions of how we do things. I think you're touching on one of our key values as a team and as a culture, which is honesty. And I think there are different forms of how our values in honesty are expressed in each of our partnerships. But this is one of the ways. This is about being honest about what each of the people on our team have learned. Each of them is bringing experience in different products, different industries to the table, but also being honest about the hypotheses that individuals could have. How else do you think that honesty is expressed in the relationships that we keep?
Well, I think that honesty is clear. I mean, super important for any service business out there, right? Like for anyone to hire someone to help with something. I mean, you need to trust that person, right? And for us, that's critical. Why? Because we are, taking a lot of leadership and taking a lot of proactivity on what we're going to be building, on the decisions that we're going to be making through the process, and also leading with, a lot of uncertainty through the process as well, right? I mean, like finding the market fit or finding a process to scaling up a product is not usually straightforward. So we need to build that trust, right? And we need to be humble as well, right? And we need to help our partners and clients to understand that this is like an empiric process that we are going to be learning in each step how to do it better, right? So to build trust is clearly very important to be honest, to be collaborative, and to be pragmatic, right? Rarely a person come to us like to buy a process, to buy concepts, to buy theory, right? They really want us to help them build a business, right? So those are the main pillars that we have in the studio.
And I think perhaps the more traditional client agency relationship, or what maybe is even perceived, is something where there's always a thin veil. There's like us and them. There's our team and client team. I think that's what's typical. But for us, what I've seen in the projects that we're working on with our team is really trying to mimic the experience of working amongst colleagues. I think that carries the elements of trust and real collaboration and honesty, where we're not putting one over the other, but each sides of the teams care about the outcome for the business. And I think what we want to do is mimic this idea of, if you could go to market and quickly skip the whole candidate searching process and onboarding, and just reach in and find a well-crafted team of individuals who are experts in each of their things for you to work with for a short period of time. I think that's what we're trying to mimic in these relationships, no?
Yeah, definitely. Because hiding is super important for a company, right? When they're either pre-market fit or post-market fit, like building a team is super difficult, right? But also having the experience, right, to knowing what to do, right? So we're solving that with our team and how we're collaborating with them. But also the thing is that that's something that we communicate from day one, right? Like we are not trying to be like just working on what they're asking us to do it, or they are not just specifying requirements and we're executing, right? It's more about us together to define the collaboration terms, to work as a team, and to have like super transparency through all the processing, how we're going to be doing everything, where we find some blockers, where we have doubts, where we are super clear in the path, right? So we really think that's the way. And the good thing also is like through all these years we have validated that that's the way, right? At least for all the companies that are around us that have been succeeding all these years with our help initially, and then scaling up their teams and their products from the good foundations that we set up together.
And how lucky are we that we've been investing in our team and our talent for the last few years in this way? Because I think you and I are both hearing from different corners of the market how hard it is to find people, how hard it is to find people at the right price, with the right value match, the right motivation. And here we are working on cultivating a culture and practices in product craftsmanship. And so we're hearing new founders who are evaluating whether to invest in salaries for their whole team, or whether to invest in meeting their next product milestone with us. And that's a common comparison we hear with early stage founders. Do I want to trust an outside team with my baby, with my vision, but also should I evaluate hiring a team for a short period of time, or should I think about hiring my own internal team for the long term? And you'll have to tell me how you think about it, but for me, I don't think it has to be one or the other. I think that's one of the advantages that a team like ours brings to the table, is helping you meet those short-term goals while you evaluate the market and what your needs are to scale your team.
Exactly. I mean, I think in the early stages, you're usually like running out of resources, right? Maybe you raise some money, but you have to attack the market with several fronts. And probably you don't have the time to hire or the experience and that. So finally, we're helping with that as well, because we have like a super strong HR team, right? Like with a lot of processes and a lot of experience on finding the right talent, right? So we can help with that from the one. But also in later stages, we are very helpful as well, where you have a superb internal team, that team is focused on your main activities or the main priorities at that time. But also, while you're building a company and you're growing a company, a lot of initiatives looks like good opportunities as well, right? And sometimes you want to commit your resources or your internal team. So it's very helpful to have this type of teams that we know how to build a product from scratch. We know how to be proactively defining a goal and defining a process to build it. So it's a very good strategy to also, like take with set one this type of initiatives, and like delegate on a very experienced team to build it, and also to just convey the vision, convey the goals, convey the strategy around that initiative, and leave this team to proactively work on augmenting the offering that you will have for your users and clients, without compromising your own team, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
as well like a very very good opportunity.
And we could do it again too if we need to.
Yeah, it's easy. I mean,
Yeah.
finally talking is it.